Merci, Monsieur le Président. A few months after I turned 25, I embarked on my first overseas trip, one that, without knowing it, would set the course of my entire life. I was heading to Berlin for what was then a little-known gathering, the very first Conference of Parties on Climate Change, COP1. History was being made, and I was lucky enough to be in the room. Comme beaucoup de mes pairs à cette époque, je partais pour le vieux continent avec mon sac à dos.
Like many of my peers at that time, I was setting off for the old world with just a backpack, but I wasn't there to travel around Europe. I was there to share a gym with 600 young people from around the world in what had only recently been East Berlin, and we had a shared goal to convince governments to take ambitious action against climate change.
Not only how crucial the climate, and I would later discover the nature crisis are, but also how important international collaboration is to find solutions to these complex issues.
During the two following decades, I channeled that conviction into environmental work at nonprofits, defending, mobilizing, and creating bridges between science, civil society, and public policy. And that was the experience that ultimately led me to political life.
In 2019, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau asked me to join the Liberal team to help accelerate action on climate change. When I became Environment Minister, my mandate included developing Canada's first comprehensive climate plan to meet our international obligations. We also developed the country's first comprehensive adaptation plan to prepare and protect Canadians from the dangers of a changing climate, changes that we can no longer avoid. And those plans were working. Ces plans, à travers des politiques,
These plans, along with policies, regulations, and legislation, were designed to ensure that Canada would do its fair share to reduce pollution and protect Canadians from the problems that we're currently seeing in communities from coast to coast to coast.
Before taking the final decision to run, there was one thing I asked: the ability to distance myself from the decision by the government to purchase the Trans Mountain Pipeline. As an environmentalist with deep understanding of the scientific consensus on the urgency and need to rapidly reduce heat-trapping gases, I had opposed a number of oil and gas projects, and I had criticized the Trudeau government for moving ahead with the purchase of TMX.
Many of my political opponents used these positions to try to paint me as being anti-development. That always made me smile, because throughout my career, I have supported a number of development projects throughout the country: wind and solar energy projects, transit and active mobility projects, electrifying our transit system, including increasing the sales of electric vehicles, and recently the high-speed rail project.
I was on stage in Edmonton in 2015 when then NDP Premier Rachel Notley announced her climate leadership plan. Again, I was roundly criticized by some environmentalists for doing so, but I have always believed in collaborating with provinces within the framework of the scientific reality of climate change. Depuis lors, bien des choses ont changé.
Since then, a lot has changed. 10 years ago, for every dollar invested in producing fossil fuel, there was also a dollar invested in clean and renewable technology. But today, that ratio is 2 to 1 in favor of renewable energy. And last year, electric vehicles represented 23% of global sales.
There are many reasons that lead people to enter politics. In my case, it was a desire to pursue my quest for a better environment, for the fight against climate change, for nature protection. These 7 years, intense, demanding, and deeply meaningful, have been among the most formative of my life. I leave proud of what we have accomplished together.
After 7 years of serving as member for the beautiful riding of Laurier-Sainte-Marie, it is time now for me to find new ways to pursue my life's work. I will be leaving my seat in this House later this summer.
I'm profoundly grateful to my children, my family, friends, staff, and constituents, as well as volunteers, many of whom have come to Ottawa today to be with us, and who've made this work possible. You gave me far more than I can ever give back. Mr. Speaker, I won't mention the fact that some of them may be here in the House, because you would tell me I'm not allowed to do that. Le voyage commencé à Berlin
The journey that started in Berlin more than 30 years ago is not over. It will simply continue in a new direction with the same sense of urgency and with renewed hopes. The struggle for our planet is defining for our generation, and I will continue to fight. It was the honor of a lifetime to serve my community and my country. Thank you.
Robert, c'est 10 minutes. Questions and comments for a total, yes, of 10 minutes. Majumba. Calgary Heritage.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, I'm a rookie in this chamber. I'm a new member of Parliament, barely having served not even 3 years. But I can acknowledge that public service comes at a price, at a cost to your friends, your family, your loved ones. And the honourable member from Laurier-Sainte-Marie certainly has committed himself to this service. We could say that he has very deep convictions. Perhaps we won't agree on anything. We probably won't agree on anything. But his deep convictions might have been taken a bit too literally by him over the years. In fact, as you may know, Mr. Speaker, the honourable member had been arrested in my riding in Lakeview, scaling former Premier Ralph Klein's home, and had been taken into custody. In a sense, he may have served more time in Calgary than I did. But let me just say, it's a complex issue, Mr. Speaker, because we know that his policies caused hardships for over a decade. His policies caused so much hardship for so many families across this country that the price that has been paid by millions of Canadians for his determination has been a very heartbreaking one for all Canadians to bear witness to. But rest assured that his legacy lives on with this Liberal Prime Minister. This Prime Minister has kept the tanker ban in place. This Prime Minister has kept the No More Pipelines ban. This Prime Minister has kept the Net Zero Doctrine. He has kept the EV mandate. This Prime Minister has made sure that his legacy of plastic lids on your coffee, that in Calgary you can't use compostable bags, has been maintained. He has kept the industrial carbon tax. So one must ask, Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, that this member must draw some satisfaction that the Liberal Prime Minister carries on his legacy. Thank you very much.
L'honorable député de Laurier-Sainte-Marie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think I heard somewhere a compliment in there. I think if you and all of us here look really hard, I think we'll find it, and I will take it. Thank you very much.
Questions and comments. Questions et commentaires. L'honorable député de Repentigny.
The honourable member for Repentigny. Mr. Speaker, today I rise to thank the member for Laurier-Sainte-Marie, former Minister of the Environment and Heritage, for his service. I will exceptionally use his name, Stephen, on this final occasion. We've known each other for 25 years. I knew him back when he was at Greenpeace, back when he had long hair and a longer beard, and fewer white hairs. He liked climbing buildings and placing solar panels on premiers' residences. In fact, some people even called him the Montreal Jesus. We were both part of the Quebec and Canadian and international environmental movements. Over a long period, we participated in many major climate climate conferences, the COP conferences, that he also participated in as Minister of the Environment. And one of his major achievements was the Montreal Biodiversity Agreement. That wouldn't have been possible without him. And another thing that he did was the plan to fight climate change. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't ambitious enough, but it was by far the most ambitious one that we've seen in the history of this country. We've certainly had our disagreements about how best to serve the environmental cause. We haven't always agreed on strategy. Sometimes I've criticized his ideas, but I've never doubted his commitment to the fight against climate change. On behalf of myself and the Bloc Québécois, I'd like to wish him all the best. I know that he will continue to fight for the environment and climate in other contexts, in other positions, and I will be very pleased to work with him once more one day. It's unfortunate to see him leaving today, but it's the consequence of unfortunate differences of opinion in Canada. He was by far the most ambitious Minister of the Environment in the history of this country. He was by far the best Minister of the Environment that this country has ever known.
Mais pour le Canada, c'était énorme, c'était beaucoup, beaucoup trop.
Now, for Canada, that was just too much. And yet, despite all of the disagreements, he did everything that he could. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, Stephen. Now, I think he'll have a little more free time this summer. And I've heard that if he wants to have a bit of fun, well, he can always climb the CN Tower. He can always visit it if he wants to send a clear message to the government about climate change. My question for him today, and we're all wondering this, is he going to take this opportunity to give us a scoop on what his next challenge will be? The honourable member for Laurier-Sainte-Marie. Thank you. I'd like to sincerely thank my colleague and friend, the MP for Repentigny. I'd like to thank him for his kind words on his own behalf and on behalf of the Bloc Québécois. Politics can be difficult, but it's also a field where you can accomplish a great deal. In 2022, the UN approached us to organize the biodiversity conference in Montreal. And very often that takes 1 or 2 years to organize, but we only had 6 months. We had to work closely with China that was chairing that conference, even though the diplomatic relationship at that time was limited. Mr. Trudeau, the Prime Minister at the time, supported by the former Minister of Foreign Affairs, today the Minister of International Development, both supported me in participating in that with all Canadians, with Canadians, rather non-profits, civil society organizations, and many other stakeholders. And we convinced 196 countries to protect 30% of the planet. Today it's called the Paris of biodiversity. So it is possible to do great things when you go into politics. I would invite all of those who are watching today and wondering whether they should run, I would encourage everyone to go for it.
Questions and comments. Questions et commentaires. The Honourable Chief Government Whip.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank my colleague for the time that he spent in this House. I certainly won't forget when he was first elected in 2019. I had been here for 4 years, and I had been sitting in the House here, and he was about to give his first speech, and he turned around to me and he said, "Do I start talking now?" And he was just getting his feet established here, but it didn't take him long to become a force to be reckoned with in this House. And I want to thank him for the time that he's spent with us and for always pushing the government, for always pushing us individually to do more, to be more thoughtful when it comes to climate change and what we can do, and always pushing us to do better no matter what the circumstances. My question for him, Mr. Speaker, would be this. He opened his speech by talking about a young 20-year-old that traveled for the first time to engage in activities around climate change. what would he today say to that young 20-year-old in terms of giving him advice?
L'honorable député de Laurier-Sainte-Marie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the government whip for everything he has done for me personally and certainly professionally in this House. He has been an incredible ally, as has many people on this side of the House, but also on both sides of the House, Mr. Speaker. And to answer his question, like I said in French a few moments ago, I would tell this young 25-year-old, wide-eyed Canadian going abroad for the first time, believe in your dreams. If I told him then that one day he would serve as a member of Parliament, that he would even be the Minister of Environment and Climate Change, I'm not sure that the 25-year-old would have believed that. Believe in your dreams. Sometimes they become true.
Questions and comments, questions et commentaires. There are two more members I want to get into this debate, so I'm just going to ask for brevity, except for the member for Laurier-Sainte-Marie. He can take the time that he needs. The honourable member for Courtenay-Alberni.
Mr. Speaker, first, this resignation should be of serious concern to all Canadians. It's a huge wake-up call, hopefully for everybody. It takes incredible courage, what our colleague is doing today, to stand up for climate science, for environmental protection in future generations, when powerful interests inside government are pushing in the opposite direction. As New Democrats, we've had the opportunity to work across the aisle with our colleague when he was former minister on a number of important issues, including climate accountability, biodiversity protection, and building a fair transition for workers and communities. And we may not have always agreed, Mr. Speaker, but he understood that the climate crisis demands action, not delay. And the people of Laurier-Sainte-Marie were represented by someone who consistently fought to put the climate crisis and environmental protection on the national agenda. Now this government is weakening emission caps, backing away from environmental protection, and putting fossil fuel expansion ahead of climate leadership while Canadians face devastating fires, floods, and extreme weather. Mr. Speaker, we as New Democrats, we want to thank him for his courage, for his public service, and we want to wish him well and encourage him to keep fighting for climate justice and for the future of our planet. And we will look forward to continuing to work with him to tackle the climate crisis, Mr. Speaker. And again, we want to thank him.
The honourable member for Laurier-Sainte-Marie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wish to thank my honourable colleague from the NDP from Port Courtenay, Albany, for his comments. He has been an incredible ally and a friend in this House for me. He's right, we have worked closely together on a number of issues. I've always appreciated his dedication to environmental issues and to working together to find solutions, something that is not always necessarily easy in this place, Mr. Speaker, and for that I want to thank him and I want to assure him the fight is not over. I will continue my battle for a greener, safer planet outside of this great House, but I will continue.
Questions and comments, questions et commentaires. The honourable member for Saanich Gulf Islands.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Et merci
Thank you,
à
Mr.
notre
Speaker.
collègue et cher ami,
I'd like to thank
député de Laurier-Sainte-Marie.
my colleague and dear friend,
Je veux dire
the
seulement
member
que
for
c'est un honneur de
Laurier-Sainte-Marie.
travailler ici avec lui depuis
It has been an honor to work with him for a long time. In fact, we've been friends for a long time. It's been an honor to both be MPs in this House. It's been a huge honor for me. I will miss him here in Parliament, but I know that we will continue to work together.
Mr. Speaker, but I do know that courage should be respected regardless of views. What we are dealing with is a crisis, but it's heartbreaking in this moment. Et je veux dire seulement que je veux dire merci aux
And I would
citoyens
just
de Laurier-Sainte-Marie
like to thank the people of Laurier-Sainte-Marie for showing a great deal of judgment in choosing this member.
The only question would be to give the member one more chance to say of all the extraordinary things accomplished in his service in this place, of what achievement is he most proud what would he most want us to remember in the extraordinary list of achievements here? Merci, Monsieur le Président.
The Honourable Member for Laurier-Sainte-Marie. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank my friend, my very old friend, the member for Saanich Gulf Islands, the leader of the Green Party, for her words. We've known each other for a very long time. We worked together before getting into political life. We share many things, including our birthday, which is coming up soon, Mr. Speaker. I'll mention that for anyone who's interested to know, and I want to reassure her that I will continue to be there for her and for everyone who are interested in working on fighting climate change and protecting biodiversity. I'll never be far away. If you need me, I'll always be there with pleasure. Thank you.
Resuming debate.